Well, hello, my name's Brad Smith and I'm the course coordinator for supply chain management. Welcome to the course, and I hope you enjoy the next 12 weeks of study. What I'd like to do in this introductory session is just give you some guidelines on what I expect to be the key outcomes from the course, what you really should take away, and also a few tips on how to survive the next 12 weeks of study and keep the rest of your life intact as well. Firstly, the objectives of the course are really to give you an outline on just how important supply chain management is now to organisations. It really is becoming a key strategic initiative for organisations. I want to tell you about the most important drivers that organisations have to implement their supply chain management strategy, and you'll also learn some of the analytical tools and techniques that can be used to help assess, improve, implement supply chains. Let's firstly talk about some of the key outcomes from the course. First thing is to realise that all organisations have a supply chain. We often think of supply chains as being something that's very product based, or only organisations that manufacture products have supply chains. But increasingly, organisations that have service as their basic product also have a supply chain. Service organisations have to also think about not only the supply of these ancillary products that they'll use as part of their service delivery, but they also have to think about the distribution of their service. So this is all supply chain. Secondly, I want you to understand that the success of any organisation is very dependent on how aligned that supply chain is to the overall corporate strategy that the organisation is wishing to implement. Typically, organisations choose to be either efficient in their delivery of products and services, meaning that they like to try and deliver the products and services at lowest cost, or they want to be responsive to their customer, meaning that they want to give their customer very quick service, a lot of options and choices, and deliver those when and where the customer wants them. So these are the two, if you like, extremes that organisations have to operate in. And whilst it isn't an either or, it's a continuum, organisations have to choose where they want to be within that continuum, and that has to be consistent with their overall corporate strategy. The next important thing to get out of this course over the next 12 weeks is the understanding that a supply chain's purpose is to try and maximise the overall value created for all participants in the supply chain. And that word all is very important. Ultimately, everybody working in the supply chain to deliver the product or service should be deriving value from their actions. If the supply chain becomes dominated by any single individual or any single individual organisation, then that can often be at the expense of others. And those others, if they're not ultimately deriving value, will exit the supply chain. And that means that everybody will lose out. We quite commonly hear today about the market dominance of the two large supermarket chains and how they are driving down prices and forcing these lower prices back onto their suppliers. Well, ultimately, if they do that and they push too hard, their suppliers will choose to exit the supply chain if they're not making a profit themselves. So it's important that the supply chain is balanced, aligned, and everybody in the chain is making a profit. So these are the key things that we'll be looking at over the next 12 weeks. How can we align our supply chain? How can we maximise its benefit for all participants? A few of the practicalities on the course and some tips to get through the next 12 weeks. This is a master's level course. There's a lot of information to get across, so you should understand that there is quite a lot of reading, a lot of work to get through in the course. But certainly if you find the readings are getting on top of you, then most important is to make sure you focus on the unit notes themselves. And as we go through the next 12 weeks, I'll tell you which of the readings at the end of each unit are optional or which ones you really should focus on. Some of them are classics, as we say, and they really get across some very important points. Others are really just in there because whilst they supplement the textbook and supplement the unit notes, they're not essential. Another important point to note is that there is a little bit of mathematics in the course. You'd be expected to have a basic knowledge of statistics, calculation of probabilities under the normal curve, some basic algebra. Certainly if you've done the quantitative methods course within the MBT program, then you'll easily handle the maths. But if you haven't, you might have to refresh your memory on some of these basic mathematical skills. The units that have mathematics in them, there are plenty of worked examples that you go through, and as you work through those, make sure you do focus on doing those worked examples, and if you can do those, then you will have no trouble in the exam or the assignments. The last thing to say is that obviously I'm here to help you as we go through the next 12 weeks. So if you have any issues, if you need my assistance, don't hesitate to contact me via email or post notes in the classroom, and I'll be more than happy to come back to you as quickly as possible. So enjoy the next 12 weeks, and I'll see you in Unit 1.